Namaskar, India. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers who are, actually watching us and who joined us on our Web Talk Series 18. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard that right. Web Talk Series 18. We feel amazing because it is for each one of our wonderful viewers out there who've joined us week after week. And even though we are seeing a webinar fatigue build in, but here at Web Talks, we've continued to inspire, we've continued, to enrich some amazing issues and topics with our great panelists. So yes, a big thank you to all our leaders for having joined us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sangeeta Singh, your virtual moderator for the Web Talk series, and on behalf of URS International Media House and Asia One Magazine, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome all our speakers here on the panel and of course our viewers. So with that, I'm super excited. Like always, yet again today we have a very interesting topic, or rather I must say a topic which is very relevant to realities, as today we talk about youth empowerment, the key to national prosperity. We are here to deliberate all about it. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let us all get started. With that, it's an absolute honor for us to begin our Web Talk series of this great topic here today by actually having a message from the Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, Mr. Kiran Rijiju. So could we please have the AV?
We have launched some important programs like Hello India, Fit India movement. So this will create an enormous situation in our country where the youths will drive all the important programs of the government. And Fit India movement is something which I take it very close to my heart. Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji had launched Fit India movement and I'm driving it. When I drive it, I enjoy it also because youths are becoming very conscious of their health fitness. So I think now majority of the youths are turning into fitness as a part of their daily regime. I would like to compliment Rajal Sukal for coming out with this Asia One magazine, which is itself telling Asia One. We have to build the brands of our own, the Asian brand, the Indian brand.
So true. It is time that we actually build the Asian brand, the Indian brand when it comes to the global perspective. So a big thank you to the Honorable Prime Minister for sharing his message here with us on this Web Talk series. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, well, I always do, but this time yet again on this series, I'm going to reiterate about our television series. I'm sure by now everybody's pretty familiar about it. The greatest brands and leaders that we have been telecasted week after week on CNBC TV. So yes, here is the promo for you.
Greatness is defined by the leaders who wield it. A brand is a culmination of groundbreaking ideas and impeccable execution. URS Asia One presents Greatest Brands and Leaders 2019-20. At these times,
So yes, alongside while we are present here on CNBC TV 18 here in India, it's a great pride for us to share with you that very soon you'll be also seeing us in Bangladesh in collaboration with News 24 and of course in entire Middle East and, ladies and gentlemen, in entire North Africa on Zee TV. That is going to be amazing. We're simply looking forward for a lot of collaborations and associations coming in from some great brands and leaders across Asia. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to our wonderful topic that we are here to address, youth empowerment, the key to national prosperity. In the very recent times, we actually heard our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, quoting that a youth must actually work towards building his or her future goals, unmindful of the past. Indeed, it is the youth of the nation who is surely responsible to shape up, the next few years into a great future. A youth surely is the future of a nation. Rather, it is his or her action and inactions which actually both contribute towards the state of a nation. I would also say that, the value of any country, of any nation, is not only about the riches and the assets that it is possessing, but more importantly, it is, the actual wealth is the intellect and the intelligence of its people. For they are, the ones who are responsible to contribute towards any kind of, wealth building and any kind of earning of a wealth. So on that note, you'll also agree with me if I said that, as far as history goes, ladies and gentlemen, all of us do know that a youth of a nation is an harbinger of a change, be it from winning an independence freedom fight or creating a new technology. They've always been responsible to change the status quo or any form of music, culture, art, for a matter of fact, anything and everything. And hence, somewhere, it really becomes important to support and to promote the development of youth. And when I say it becomes important, I also mean that it becomes the foremost priorities of any stakeholder or any sector, any segment, of the entire nation to do that. And on that note, it's a pleasure for me to introduce you to our esteemed panelists who've joined us here on Web Talk Series 18. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have here with us yet again, bringing all her beauty, all her shine, and more importantly, the optimism that she radiates with. I have been following her on Insta, and let me tell you, she is inspiring. I am talking about none other than the yoga expert and, of course, the actress that we simply loved always forever, Miss Shiva, here with us. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing? Could you unmute yourself and say a big hello to our lovely audience?
Hello, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here yet again with all these wonderful, esteemed panelists. And Sangeeta, it's lovely to be here with you again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. And yet again, and as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it is absolutely women-dominated webinar today. We have such pretty and such intelligent faces here. We have here Dr. Manikmalai Mohan. Just a little more about her, ladies and gentlemen. She's the founder and managing trustee of SSVM Institute. A big hello to you, ma'am. How are you doing?
Yeah, hi, Sha. It's a wonderful moment today to be once again with Asia One and get connected to talk about the youth empowerment.
And like always, you're glowing. And we're also joined by Ms. Pashpuleti Pallavi Krishna. Ladies and gentlemen, she's the Executive Director, Tripura Constructions, Hyderabad. A big hello to you, Pallavi.
Hello, namaste to all. Glad to be on board today.
Are you all excited?
Yeah.
Right. And we have Dr. Usha Reddy. Since the time I began talking to her on this webinar, let me tell you, she's, her every demeanor seems to be an inspiration. She's like a bundle of energy right there, absolutely infectious with her energy. So Dr. D. Usha Reddy, she is the CEO of Meridian Schools. A warm and hearty welcome, ma'am.
Namaste, and thank you so much, Sangeeta, for that intro to all the panelists and all the viewers. I think it's going to be a lovely discussion that I'm looking forward to this evening.
And I must say, the lady in red is simply brightened my screen out here.
Thank you. Thank you.
By Ms. Sukriti Patnaik. I couldn't say hello to you before as we got started. So big hello to you, Sukriti. She is the Managing Director, Indulge the Salon. I mean, we're all missing it, right? So yes, Sukriti, lovely to have you here with us. How are you doing?
All well, Sangeeta. Thank you so much. A big hi and namaste to all of you. And really, really looking forward to the session. Thank you.
And finally, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we do have a gentleman that we are joined by. We have, Captain Dr. Rajiv Gupta. He's the Vice President of India Awardee, Director to Golden Bells and the Indian Public School. A very warm and hearty welcome, sir, to Web Talks. So could you unmute yourself? So you're not audible. Could you unmute yourself? It's on your left-hand side corner. Down. below.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. C.A. Rajiv Gupta, and I'm so humbled and honored to be in the August gathering of so many beautiful ladies. And I'm seeing Miss Shiva after so many years. Thank you very much, ma'am. I've been a huge fan of yours when you were in the film industry on the big screen. So I'm seeing you after so many years.
How sweet. Thank you. My honor and my pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And Dr. Rajiv, I must tell you that you'll become a bigger fan of her if you start following her on Insta, because when it comes to yoga, she's matchless and she's par excellent. She's so inspiring in her demeanor. That is simply amazing. So
No doubt
let's
about
get
it.
started our webinar, ladies and gentlemen, with Shiva right here with us. So, I am not going to be asking you a question. You're always radiating with so much boundless optimism and energy. Iska Raz. Let's get started with you.
So, मेरी optimism का राज I think is that laissez-faire attitude and the fact that I say it is what it is. Especially in today's day and age, I think the fact that I live like that really helps me, because there are so many things and so many factors beyond our control. So we just have to be, it is what it is, just move on. And I think that just keeps me going. And plus I absorb the happy energies of wonderful people around me, even people like you all on the web talks with me. I kind of absorb all that energy and it makes me feel good and optimistic about life.
That's amazing. Shiva, you just said that the way it is, right? So do you think it is that easy to be in acceptance of whatever life throws to you?
It's not. It is a mindset that you cultivate. I have a lot of wellness talks with my students and my friends and my teachers. It's about cultivating. It's like a cognitive exercise you do for your mind, wherein you're constantly telling yourself to calm down and don't worry about the same problem twice, like once before it happens and once that it actually happens. So I think it is something that you have to work on every single day. When you get a negative thought, you have to tell yourself why you're thinking about that and let go. Basically, to be really, quote a Hindi song, "Har fikr ko dhuएं mein udata chala gaya."
So what is that you have to say about the youth today? And I'm sure they are really living in difficult times. I mean, everything around, of course, it's very competitive, alongside a lot of opportunities. So, what's your message for everybody out there?
It's a very confusing time for everybody, whether it's youth or whether it's old people or whether it's anybody. This kind of a time has not come in any of our lifetime, but the youth is what will drive us forward. This webinar is, again, thanks to some youth who thought up this whole concept, and we connected the entire world together. Facebook is youth driven and Instagram is youth driven, and media is youth driven. They drive campaigns and they drive democracy, and they drive the world basically, because they have the zest, they have the vision. They're not clogged with so many experiences that they're able to make new changes and innovate and be the leaders of tomorrow. So yes, we depend on our youth for everything.
So true. They are the leaders of tomorrow. And let me bring in Dr. Mohan into the conversation. Ma'am, I'd like to ask you, what are some of the core principles and objectives that actually should be kept in mind to empower the youth of today?
Yeah, excellent question. First, let's bear in mind a few core principles and objectives before we empower our youth, which is very, very important. Our youth must be loyal to his own family and our country. That is the first and foremost thing that we'll have to focus. And then effective skill development towards eradicating poverty, corruption, every other anti-social element. That is what is now the main task. And they should prepare them to become agents of change. Because today's youth, they must accept the change, whatever is coming on the way, and they have to go. So when you learn something new, they should develop that habit to practice it regularly, because today they do and then tomorrow when they forget, it's of no use. And again, our youth should be an example of a positive sense of self, as in how Sheba told. So they have to see things in a very positive way. They have to be an inspiration to others. And our youth should be an embodiment for self-control, because today that's very, very important. They should be on an outlook for positive changes in the quality of life what they are living. For example, if they are going to be an inspiration, it starts right from their dressing to their food to their lifestyle, everything. So when they want to come out with something, a change, they have to present themselves in such a way they will inspire many more youth of their age groups. Our youth must live the moral system of life. They have to develop trust and enthusiasm and keep up with their words, which is again very important. They should become wise decision makers. Example like, for example, if they have to do a work, they have to remind that and keep moving on a steady move. They should welcome pro-social connectedness with open arms to minimize their weakness and increase their strength. Because now, if you ask somebody what is your biggest plus, first they'll be talking about their weakness, then their strength. Instead, let them forget their weakness and just push them out with their strength and come out. They should have a thirst to acquire and uncompromised learning experience and a passion for leading an uncompromised quality life. Because they cannot say, okay, this is my lifestyle, let me adjust. For that, for example, I can say you one small example. So for example, if an individual is there in a room, he should know to keep that room more organized. When he is able to keep his room so organized, ultimately his life becomes more organized. They should be a true patriot and proud to be an Indian, because that is again, they get all the education here and then they leave the country and they go out. So instead, they should have that true patriotism. It's my country. Let me be the best change for my country. And they should be humans. This is what I will feel my principal core for the youth.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing out the core values. And let me bring in Dr. Rajiv into the conversation. Sir, I'd like to know from you, that how do you think that any kind of changes are required in the existing education system to make children better prepared for the future and their role in the national prosperity? And for a matter of fact, do you really think that the NEP, which is the new education policy, succeed in doing that? So could you just unmute yourself, Dr. Rajiv? Sir, could you unmute yourself? Yes.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for the lovely question. Again, a lot of challenges every day coming from both the sides, the parents, the teachers, the students, and the management. The thing is, everyone is trying to cope up with the challenges every day. The thing is, there is a lack of trust among the partners. There is a huge gap between the management, the teachers, and the parents and the children likewise. And because of that, whatever good the school is doing, in spite of warlike system which has been formulated in this last 4 or 5 months, huge gap in the trust and respect for the teachers is lacking, because I strongly say the role of the government has been negligible in giving the directions to the parents as well as to the school owners. The ultimate sufferer is the teacher, who is supposed to be the guru and whom we call as guru. But the real hypocrisy has come out in this 5-6 months when on social media, it has become a boon and a bane when the parents are posting n number of videos against the school teachers and the management just for the sake of few thousand rupees per month, that is called a school fees. Everyone should understand the schools run on the fees, and out of this fees only the salary of the teachers and all the staff members are paid. The government has been totally clueless regarding how should a school function, and pan-India basis, lot many preschools and primary schools have to have shut down. And this is a very sorrow state of affairs when the teaching institutions are being shut down and the government is least bothered. So the new education policy seems to be good, but I doubt the intention of the government because since last so many years, no emphasis has been given by the present government on the education system of the country. The kind of education ministers we have, I'm being very honest and very truthful, the kind of education ministers we have, the kind of resources we are providing for the education, the funding for the education industry is totally haywire. In a small country like Finland, the highest respectable job for a citizen of the country is the teacher. And in India, ironically, a girl or a boy, most of the teachers are females, they become teacher out of comfort level. And if you are doing your normal graduation or your normal teaching course through a correspondence course, how can you expect when you go to a school where you are handling or tackling 50 to 60 children in a class to make them toppers? Are you getting the point? There's a huge gap in the learning and the teaching environment in the country, and it is an emergency-like situation where it is sorry to say, but so many schools across the country have shut down. So many teachers have left their jobs because the schools are not having the finances to pay. So what is the use of education policy when there are no teachers and when the respect for the teachers is going down the drain? So I strongly urge the Prime Minister of the country and the Education Minister of the country should first of all sit with all the education ministers of all the states, irrespective of whatever political agenda they have, and should come out with the first and the foremost thing, that is the education. Unless you are educated, any other career will not be of any purpose. Because every day what we see in the news media or on the print media is abusive, hate, disrespect for everyone. And all the children, specifically I'm talking about the children who are in the preschool and the primary wing, they have been confined to their houses since the last 4-5 months. The senior children who are say in classes 9 to 12 or in the colleges, they have been able to move out of their houses on one pretext or the another. But when we talk about the preschool industry and the primary school industry, 90% of the children are confined to their houses, and what they are listening to every day 24/7 is total gibberish. So the need of the hour is focusing on the education policy. Rewriting education policy will not be of any help unless and until it is brought down to the grassroots level. Again, I'm repeating on every webinar I say, we live in two countries. One is Bharat and one is India. So there is a huge gap between Bharat and India. First. Secondly, most of the time I see all the politicians, including the head of the country, saying Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Hindustan. What is the name of our country? If we ask where do we live, कोई बोलेगा हिंदुस्तान में, कोई बोलता भारत में, कोई बोलता इंडिया में, कोई बोलता हिंद में। तुम्हारी कंट्री का नाम ही नहीं जब हमें पता है, हमारी कोई नेशनल लैंग्वेज नहीं है। न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी बोलती है कि आपको क्लास 5 तक रीजनल लैंग्वेज में या नेशनल लैंग्वेज में आपको टीच करना है। आई लिव इन दिल्ली, I do not know what is the language of Delhi. Most of the parents want their children to go to convent schools for English as a language to be inculcated into them from nursery onwards. Do you think a parent who is living in Delhi or Delhi NCR will send their child to a school where there is no English in the initial primary classes? तो देखने में बहुत अच्छी है पॉलिसी, लेकिन देखने से काम नहीं चलने वाला है। करना है कुछ, हम कर नहीं रहे, हम करेंगे, हम ये करेंगे, हम वो करेंगे, हमने ये नहीं किया। Again, I am saying the man who is promising so much to you will never deliver to you anything. And the leader who always talks about past will never give you the future. So we have to live in the present, and the education policy of the country as of now is just a reframing of all those policies which have been in India since last 70-80 years. So I think a strong message has to be given to the government through your channel. Work on the education. Rest other ministries can be taken care once the education minister is committed to the education of the country.
Thank you, Dr. Rajiv Gupta. Thank you for your candid expressions, and I'm sure it has taken so many years to bring us a new education policy, and we've already got started. And I'm sure we are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, and after so many, I think almost after 3 to 4 decades, we've got this particular policy here with us. I'm sure somewhere we have got onto the right path. Yes, sir.
We are again and again focusing on the new word. There is nothing new. Old champagne in a new glass, old wine in a new glass. So focus should not be on the new, focus should not be on the policy, focus should be on the education. And there is where I'm saying the Modi government is hugely lacking in the education of the country.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard the concerns of Dr. Rajiv Gupta here. Thank you for putting forth your concerns, and I'm sure through these wonderful, webinars, our way to give out the message and make ourselves more audible for people to hear our concerns and our expressions. And as you very rightly said, that yes, education is the very foundation of empowering the youth of tomorrow. It is very, very important that we kind of go and do the massification, the democratization of education, and I'm sure that is the way forward. And with that, before I bring in our next speaker, a big hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're also joined by Mr. Bhupendra Singh Rathod, who has joined us here. Thank you, sir, for joining us. He's an international business coach and a motivational expert. So
thank you, Sangeeta.
Thank you for joining us, and I'll surely come back to you.
Thank you so much.
Let me bring in our next speaker here in the conversation. Let's hear it from a very young Pallavi who is here with us. So Pallavi, from you, I need to understand, and I request you to share your thoughts on how an empowered youth can be the biggest driver for a nation's success and prosperity.
See, when we say an empowered youth, he is, to be empowered, it means we are saying that the person is, he has a good sense of responsibility. When we say a sense of responsibility, it is at the individual level, he takes care of himself, this at the society and the nation at the large. And when you say somebody is empowered, we would say that he would be someone who's going to give solutions to the problems, and he can be part of the problem. Right? And in the recent Sushant's case, you see how with the power of technology, the power of social media, the youth is looking for the truth, right? Which means that no bureaucrats, no politics, and no politicians or the so-called celebrities.
If you could come closer to your machine, because you are echoing too much, and your voice is fading away.
Yeah. So the empowered youth, if they're given the conducive atmosphere, and if they're given the kind of right support, they would really excel in whatever they are doing. That is something which is really lacking from the government. Not just the government, all the stakeholders should ensure that they are giving the rich support to enable the so-called youth. I think that's important.
Thank you. So we could see, friends, the power of the youth today. And as you mentioned of the Sushant case, and on that, let me bring in Mr. Bhupendra Singh Rathod into the conversation. Thank you once again for joining us on behalf of,
thank you.
I'd like to say a big thank you on behalf of the Asia One team. So, well, quickly, a big hello to our viewers, and then I come to the question to you. So, yes, would you like to just say something to get started with?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, and really apologize for joining in a little late. I was driving and I got stuck in railway crossing. So that was the thing. But thank you so much. And I found that Dr. Rajiv's conversation was very good. And now Pallavi just spoke. So thank you.
So yes, my question to you, Mr. Singh, is yes, that how do you go out? And I know that you've been motivating your business coach. So, what is that one thing that you really keep in mind when you motivate the youth to become more aware and active national citizens?
See, I have been a big advocate of a big vision, and I always feel that when a student at the age of 10, if he gets to understand why he is born, and at the same time when he gets to understand the big responsibility towards the nation, because I always learned about three kind of responsibility which people have. One is the personal responsibility, which almost everybody is busy continuing. The second kind of a responsibility is the social responsibility, which we never educate or very rarely educate our kids towards. And the third responsibility is that responsibility towards nation. I've been always thinking, like, once I went for a TEDx talk, and I was about to go there as a speaker and got to see two young kids. One was 9-year-old and one was 11-year-old. And I thought, they might be the kids of the organizers. But after some times, I realized that those were the keynote speakers at TEDx event. And I was like, wow, how is it possible? Now, 9-year-old kid, Swarit, he went on the stage and he started speaking about he creating a robot which could feed the fishes on the time, every time, without any human intervention. And when I interacted with his parents and him after the event, they said at the age of 7, when we went for a birthday party, we were supposed to return home at 7 o'clock, but we got stuck in the Bangalore traffic and we returned by around 11 o'clock. And that time, constantly, this kid, Swarit, was asking one question: Mom, fishes might be hungry. I mean, 4 hours they have been waiting for. And finally, this guy was intrigued and he created a robot, and this robot is now taking him to the places. And at the age of 9, he's so focused. He has awareness about the vision. He has awareness about big thinking. I once called him for an interview in one of my chat shows, and he was more inspiring than any of my speakers till date for all the audiences. Then 11-year-old Hemang, this guy wanted to go to the school. And when he went to the school, he did not like the school. He said, I don't want to learn all these things. I want to learn computers. I'm more interested in coding, but people are teaching me Hindi, maths, and science and history. Can I learn computers? And, he was thrown out of the class because he carried a smartphone over there. Then finally, he made a choice and he said to his parents, I don't want to study. I don't want to go to the school. And his parents told him that, okay, can we have a home tutor? All right. Home tutor was arranged. Home tutor was teaching him. But after some time, he was not even liking that, because he said, home tutor is not teaching me the way I want to learn. And then this 6-year-old kid at that time made a choice that he wanted to learn from computers. He chose computers. He was dedicated to this. And I think at the age of 11, he's so inspiring. Like when he talks, people are zapped as to how he has done so many things. So what I tell is, when a 13-year-old Tilak Mehta can create a company, I think if we really start educating our kids at the early age about having a strong vision, if we can give them the real stories of all our national heroes or international heroes who have really taken up some causes and did something wonders, and if we can inculcate that education in our kids, system, from the childhood, it can work. So I always have this belief that if a kid gets vision at the age of 10, whether he is very good at science, maths, or any other subject or not, he will have the power to acquire the knowledge of all those subjects. And by the age of 20, he will be able to impact the world at a very, very big level. That's what I believe in. And that's what I've been talking about and have been proving. Like if we take the examples of Anand Kumar, who just created Super 30, or Sindhutai Sapkal, all these people have a big vision, and because of that, they've been able to create. And all those panelists who are here in this interview, most of us have created some or the other thing only because of a big vision, and that's what is the big thing which I want. So every school should teach students from the beginning, or every parent should teach students from the beginning, or children from the beginning, about the power of vision, what it can do, and how it can change the world.
Wow, the power of vision and how focused they can be from. So, Bhupendra, here I'd like to also put another counter question to you. That do you think that today, the youth of today is far more focused, more receptive, or more as a rebel? So, is it more of a rebel or more of a, they're really receptive, their ability to respond and their ability to find their, very early on in life, their careers, their chosen path? Do you think there's a lot of change from, generations a little further ago and to now?
Yeah, there is a huge change, and that change is because now parents are also unaware as to what to do with these kids. Even the school teachers, they think that this is my responsibility, so this is the only thing which I can do. So I always tell here that there are 3 things which are needed in order for a kid to be on a right path. One is called the Sangat, the right company of people. The second one is called a guru, or a teacher, or a mentor. I would say more than school teachers and everything, he has to have one mentor who can really be his friend. He can be his guide, whom he can look up to. And the third thing which I always believe in is the right habits. And it's like this: when the child goes to the school, he has the exposure to 50 students and or maybe 100 of his classmates, and he picks up whoever he likes at that moment, and whoever he gets influenced by. But I have rarely seen people with a great sanskaras or the family rituals or the bondings, those kids do not get deviated from that. So kids are advanced. They have a very high energy. In fact, I think these are the, what we call it, millennial kids. And millennial kids have a lot of ideas. Now, if they do not get a platform to use their ideas, these ideas, that energy has to get channelized somewhere. So even if I am there, like if I'm not here in this webinar, what would I do? Probably, maybe if I'm too aware, I can read a book and all this. But sometimes when there is no plan, your energy also gets dissipated. So a young kid, he doesn't know what is right and what is wrong. He only goes by his subconscious mind. His subconscious mind says, I love this PUBG game and I really want to play it no matter what happens. Okay, because it's so interesting. There is no fun in just reading a boring book. So that's how the kid's energy is channelized. Like if we involve the same kid into something constructive, there will be so much which a kid can do. I want to give you a small example. Yesterday, after a long time, I met my son, and then I thought, let's play. So we went to the garden, and in the garden, first few minutes, I just go to see that he was doing here and there some activities, and then all of a sudden I got an idea. I said, okay, let's do one thing. If you come, run over there and touch that wall and come back. So before that, I asked him, what do you want to, which chocolate do you like? He said, Kinder Joy. I said, why do you like Kinder Joy? He said, I love that toy which comes in Kinder Joy. I said, okay, wonderful. So do you want a Kinder Joy? Yeah. So do you know that Papa works hard to earn money and then only Papa gets car or something like that? He said, yes. So you want to get Kinder Joy, you will also have to earn it. He said, how can I earn? I'm so small. I said, you can earn it. If you go ahead and touch that wall and come back, you earn 1 rupee. And this is how, if you get 40 rupees, then I'm sure you get a Kinder Joy. Now, there's a very small example. Like I know that this may not suffice, but then many a times, I'm sure this 13-year-old Tilak Mehta, when he created a company of courier, I'm sure his parents or his uncles or somebody might have channelized his energy in the right direction. Another way, I read a story of 2 young boys from Bangalore. They were like, one brother was around 13 years and second one was around 15 years. And they created a 128 crore rupees IT company. Okay, how? The father was working in Infosys and he was at a very senior position over there. So I'm sure the father might have given them some direction, some challenge, which the kids might have loved. I run a training program called the Commando Training, and around 500 people are going through that training. It's a 90 days training program. It's nothing like physical. It's more of giving them small challenges that for next 30 days, you need to do meditation, and 5 o'clock you need to get up. So last 7 days challenge was to get up at 3 o'clock and do a continuous exercise till 5:30. And I was so surprised that there was one kid at 10 years, there were 2 kids at 12 years, and there were at least 5 to 10 or 15 years, and rest were elders around 24, 22, 23, 30, 35, 40. So 560 people are attending that. And these kids who are attending at the age of 10, 12, or 15, they are the sharpest amongst the entire group. And they are saying, and the mothers and fathers are telling us that this kid never used to listen to us, and now all of a sudden he has become so focused and so determined that he or she is always talking about doing great. Out of them, a 12-year-old Arista sent me an email saying, sir, I have done these things all these years of my life. I am just 12, but then I was wasting my time. I didn't know I had the desires and the needs like other kids, that I want to play, I want to go out, I want to have the video game. But ever since I went through this one focused vision and the other things, today I am only focusing on building myself. And I want to commit to you that by the age of 20, I'll be India's one of the best motivational speakers. And that was a good one. There was another, I went for a speech in Toastmasters Club, and it was a big event of around 700 people. And I was thrilled to hear one girl over there. She was just 11-year-old then. I'm sure now she is 13 years because it's 2 years late, ago this event happened. Ishita Katyal, you can Google about her and you can see her, watch her speeches on YouTube or TEDx. She has been such a brilliant speaker, and she was like able to answer all the questions with so much of wit. Why? Because she gave a lot of credit that at the age of 5, my parents introduced me to public speaking, and they told Ishita, you can do it. At the age of 9, this girl authored a book, and at the age of 11, she is an international speaker.
That's how.
So
That's
all those kind of things can happen. So I feel there's Sangat, Adat, and Guru. These are the three things which can transform people at the early age.
And of course, we're all, they say we are the average of, we are very conducive to our environment. We're average of the 5 people that we are kind of interacting on day-to-day lives. So true. It is important to your peer, your parents, your mentor, whomsoever you choose, vision and channelizing the energy. Let me bring in Usha ma'am. She was nodding to everything I could see. Bhupendra was talking. So, Ms. Reddy, from you, I need to understand that, he did speak about that, how it is important to get it all started right in your, in your very formative years, right in your school. So from you, I need to understand that, how can the school inculcate the feeling of national solidarity and the vision to contribute to the socio-economic development in students, and what role does a teacher play in ensuring this all?
So I think, in schools, teachers are the ones who can mold the future of the country. And for that, you've got to be keen observers and, watch out for these children who are contributors. And you would see that somebody falls down, you would find one kid running to help that. So you find that, trace of empathy there in that kid. Somebody has not got a lunchbox, you have somebody else sharing it with a friend. So, a teacher has to observe this, and, a pat on the back for these small deeds actually will go a long way in instilling that self-esteem of the child and the confidence that, yes, I'm doing something right. So initially they begin very small in school. That recognition is what keeps them going. And then when they get a little older, then it's a project. You become a part of a contributor in a larger team. And so there is a goal there, and it's a limited goal. Time frame is limited, but yet you achieve something. So you become a contributor and you're doing something beyond yourself. So teaching children to think beyond themselves, thinking in terms of universalization of anything that we do for humanity at large, I think are concepts that must be sown in their minds very, very young. When you look at nationalism, you're saying, I really believe in that, but I think today we have to step up and say, become a global citizen. So what you are doing here for yourself, for your friends in your little classroom will get molded into becoming a contributor towards a community or a project that you're doing. And then later on, you start analyzing what's happening in your country. How can you make a difference? So the first thing is to believe in yourself and say, however small I am, being a school kid also, I can make a difference. And there are hordes of kids, who've actually made an impact on society. So when we talk to children to inspire them, just like the other speaker, before me had said, inspirational stories, from history, is something that I do believe in, that can motivate and, ignite their imagination. But giving them these opportunities to also do little things, I think is extremely important. I also feel you have to correlate that to people of their own age. If you talk of Jhansi, Rani Bai or whatever, and you talk of, anybody else who's much above their age, you talk of Mahatma Gandhi ji who's done this and got his independence. Yes, they are in awe. But when you talk of a child of their age who's done something, for example, the Bravery Awards, the girl, who actually was Raki, who was just 10 years old, but she fought with the leopard to save her 4-year-old brother. So, why did she do it? How did she do it? Wasn't she afraid? What happened to her that she was able to brave it? So you start asking these questions and children come up with these answers. So then they also somewhere understand that if she can do it, I can do it too. So when an opportunity arises, they will impact. So, and it's important to tell them that, academics is not everything. Education is not about marks and marks alone. It's holistic development. Right? So whether you're good at sports, giving equal weightage to everything else, I think is what the NEP is also talking about, developing 21st century skills and other things. But, understanding and taking pride in your culture, in your nation will come in small measures. And surely that's going to be a strong foundation for them. Because, we make a living, as Winston Churchill says, by what we get, but we also make a life by what we give. So let's think beyond ourselves. And that begins small, whether you're adopting a government school and the children are taken there, you're going to an orphanage, or any little thing that you're doing for the environment, an awareness program, a Swachh Bharat initiative or whatever. looking at community, not saying, why should I do it, but saying that it is my responsibility. As an Indian citizen, I'm going to do this. And the pride that one gets by actually completing a task and the recognition that one gets from the teacher, from the school, from the parents, I think these little things must be celebrated because a child will never forget that. You know, they may forget their marks in chemistry and physics, you know, whether it was 79 or 99, but I'm sure they will never forget when somebody has encouraged them or motivated them. I'd like to tell you a small story about great parenting. When Sudhamurthy, madam of Infosys fame, you know, when her son was young and the other children in the class were actually going to 5-star hotels, not that it's wrong, she says, you know, and blowing a lot of money and throwing these parties, the child was so excited, said, my birthday is coming, I want to do it. So she said, no, I think what you're going to be doing is I'm going to cook something at home. We are going to have a party, but the remaining money, you know that the person driver who works for us, that you can give better education for his 2 children. So 20,000 rupees, it's going to cost 50,000 rupees for that party. We're going to have a little party. I'm going to put the money in your bank. You are going to take that 20,000 and give those 2 kids better education. Seeing the tears of joy in the driver's face and, you know, what the children, you know, felt, this child was obviously transformed for life, isn't it? So these are things as parents, as teachers, we must believe in our children that they can create a fantastic future. Ours is a nation that we can all walk with our heads held high. We have such a legacy that we shouldn't forget. And I think our role as educators is to keep this fire still ignited in each one of them. And all of us can make a difference. However small, there is always that beginning, and never be afraid when you fail, because that's another experience and a stepping stone to success. You have to unmute yourself, I think.
Thank you, Usha ma'am. That was simply awe-inspiring. Really, I too had those tears of joy as you shared that anecdote with us. And I think very rightly, as you say, and also we've just heard Bhupendra say that, you know, it's all about relating those wonderful stories. He did share some amazing stories like Tilak Mehta or Arista, which kind of echo with you. And these are the stories that need to be put across. And we have to tell, however young a kid is, that how the onus completely lies upon them. And yes, they are the harbingers of change. So true. Thank you so much. And with that, I'll bring in Ms. Sukriti Patnaik into the conversation. From Sukriti, you know, you yourself is a young entrepreneur. So what are your thoughts on the power the youth of any nation has in the development of the nation itself?
Yeah. Like you said, I am also an entrepreneur. I'm a young entrepreneur, and most of us here have achieved a lot in life. But we must not forget one thing is childhood is very, very important. The experience we go through as a child, you know, the upbringing, it's very important. So let me share you my experience. You know, like it's very easy to give advice, and I have also got a lot of advice throughout my childhood. But it's very important to realize the self-realization is the key here. Until and unless we reach a point where you yourself as a human being realize that yes, I need to do this, or yes, I need to choose this path, you know, advice is not going to work. So as a young person, like I am telling you, I have been very confused. You know, I have had a great education. I did my engineering. I worked with Infosys for a long time. And I quit my job when I was in London at prime of my, you know, career. I quit my job and I became an entrepreneur. So, you know, like I have to tell that that experience of life is so important. You know, we get to understand that, yes, we need to be hardworking. We need to wake up in the morning. We need to do this, that. But what is it that you really like doing? A youth, a young person is, you know, you need to ask that person, what is your calling? Only then that person can achieve something in life. So for all the youth, I just want to say one thing is, have your experience, live your life, and you learn from life itself. So that point will definitely come where you will realize what you want to do and then follow your dreams. So that is very important because that is what will give you happiness in life. You know, like we can, I mean, our parents can groom us to be a lot of different people because they groom us according to themselves, what they have already gone through in life. And they don't want us to go through the same issues and problems. But it is very, very important that we also go through that path, you know. So I would suggest that childhood is very, very good part of life. We should not ruin it, you know, with a lot of advice, and I think we should live our life first. And as a youth, yes, we have a lot of responsibilities, and we need to shape our future, which in turn shapes the future of our country. But as a youth, I think problem solving skills and people skills, these are the very two important things that we need to learn. Because even if we are working and we are learning a lot of other skills that are there, but if we do not have the right people skill, we can never go ahead in life. As an entrepreneur, like 10 years into business, and every day is a new challenge for me. Every day it feels like I may give up. What if I fail? 99% of entrepreneurs fail in this country. They do a startup and they can't go ahead to the next phase. So how do we go ahead that, that is where the mindset comes into picture. You need to have a strong mind, and only experience can give you that. So I would suggest, go ahead, take risk, live your life, and life will teach you a lot of things, because everything else is available on YouTube. That's all. That's what I have to say.
I want to say something about that. Is you said ki let kids do their own thing, but somewhere I think experience also counts. And I'm going to tell you two very small examples of one of my own life. I sang classical when I was a baby, and I got so bored of it that I would yell at my mom, "Okay, stop it now. What is every day he comes in the morning and makes me go, I can't do it." And then cut to I grew up and I was an actress, and I was wanting to release an album, and I was like, shit, वापस रियाज करना पड़ेगा. Like, Mom, why didn't you force me? You're the adult. You should have made me continue. And right now it's come back and bitten me in the ass, because my son turned around yesterday and told me, I was young and I didn't know better. Why didn't you force me to wear my retainers? Those things, the night guard that keeps your teeth in place. So when he was younger, I would just tell him, wear it there. It's really good for your teeth. And he was like, not today, it's hurting and all. And I let it go. And now he's turned around and told me, you're the adult, you should have forced me. So there are certain things that kids need to gain from our experience. And not only that I have to tell them things to do, I have to show them what I'm doing.
Yes,
Kids
they need to realize. They need to realize it. That is
children learn a lot from watching us, not from listening to us.
Right.
So, and there is a certain age where I can tell him to get your own experience and make your own decisions. And I don't know what that cutoff point is. Maybe it's getting younger and younger and younger. But there is definitely an experience and an advantage to be gained from our mistakes and our faults and our experiences. So I screamed at my mother, my child has screamed at me. So we will continue this generational debate, I think, forever. But we have to guide them, and we have to be there behind them, telling them, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. Okay, perhaps change your path a little here, a little there. Perhaps don't discourage their dreams, definitely. But be the guiding force behind them, and be the support if they fall to catch them.
Right. I think we all owe our success to our parents in one way or the other. So that is, parenting is always obviously important. But I think even parents in search of being perfect, they also always try to be perfect, which sometimes, it's very heavy on us. So yeah, like you said that you didn't know that your son had to have the bite thing, right? So it's okay to not know as a mother, right? Even me as a mother, I have 2 kids, and sometimes I also falter as to what I should do or should not do, because even I am not perfect, and I don't know what decision I take may lead up to something else in the future. So yeah, I mean that's life.
But that's not to say that you don't guide them, because we are all first timers as parents. But
as the parents, we have to. That's
to the best of our knowledge, we have to show them the way that we know best.
So true, absolutely, and I agree with Shiba on that. And as well, so Sukriti, from you, I need to understand. You said you did your engineering, you were at the prime of your career, and then you gave it up. So what took you that long as a youth to realize that this is where you were going, and this is where you were headed, but this is where you wish to go? So
I mean, I was always I
understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a good performer throughout my career. And, what we are taught is you have to be a topper. I think that word came up in this discussion as well, right? So we have to be a topper. You have to be better than everybody else. And you always have to be in the rat race. So I did that. All my time went in doing that. And I never got time to realize actually what I enjoy doing. So, I was an electronics engineer, and I quit my job at prime of my career. Why? Because it was a desk job. And I'm more of a people person, right? I mean, it was a desk job and it was always on the computers with my spine bent, and we had calls at 3 o'clock in the night, and lot of things. So the work-life balance was not there. So a lot of things happened, and I knew that my passion was in beauty, and more not beautifying myself, but more of simplifying the procedure of beauty, because I own a salon now. So the salon those days, 10 years back, were not run by professionals. So we didn't really, it was more of a beauty parlor kind of a era, if you recall. So now we have professional salons, which is run by trained professionals. So that is when I also came into India and I started my first venture here in Odisha. And so that is when I realized, when you live the life and you do it all. I did my 10th with very good percentage, 12th, then engineering, then job, then got married. So when you do all the tick marks, and then after marriage, what? You have a kid. Then after a kid, what? So, you just keep running and running, and suddenly you realize you're not living the life that you really want to live. So I think I again would say that, yeah, the tick marks are very important, but the self-realization, that is what is very, very important. So it may be at certain age, yeah.
The self-realization, which of course maybe not in the very formative years, could come a little later to you. So here, ladies and gentlemen, as we've had the first round of discussions with our speakers, you could figure out that while it is very important in the formative years to have the right kind of, the channel, the right kind of framework, the right kind of mentor, teacher, schooling, at the same time, of course, the right kind of attitude to somewhere let go and let the youth learn from their own experiences. So yes, there'll always be varied and different parts and aspects to everything that we discuss. With that, let me bring in Shiva ma'am once again into the conversation. Ma'am, I have been, like I said, I did follow all your Insta posts, and you've been throwing a lot of challenges of fitness today. And I think social media is the right kind of platform. So need to understand from you, that what is that you'd want to say about, about this great health fitness to all the youth out there, and how important it is to not kind of get lost into, you need to have the control of your health is very important, not necessarily that you go through obstacles and then realize, but health should be a part of your day-to-day life. It should be a ritual.
So it's very interesting that you say this to me today, and we're talking about youth empowerment. Today, in fact, I had a couple of messages on my Insta about young 16-year-old, 18-year-old kids saying, we used to be very uninspired and lazy, and we didn't work out, and our parents pushed us and we didn't do nothing. But ever since you started throwing these challenges at us, it is motivating us to be fitter. And as an inverse result of just trying to be fitter along with you, we're just feeling mentally so much better, because fitness is not only about your body, it's about your cognitive fitness. When you fit by your body, your brain starts healing as well. So for me, it's all about mind and body. And I am what the minister said at the beginning of this webinar, the Fit India movement. Modi ji started it, and I'm telling you, I am the greatest flag bearer of it, because I think that our youth need to be fit, because if they are physically fit, it will bring about a mental fitness, because mental health is so important in today's day and age, or any day and age. And mental health comes from physical health. If your mobility and your flexibility and your strength and your cardio strength is good, automatically you start your day with more energy and with more joie de vivre. You're just happy to be alive. You're happy to go and do something and tell yourself you can do things which that person cannot. And I'm moving towards a fitter me. So yes, I am a flag bearer of the Fit India movement. And I'm happy to be inspiring children and youth of today.
Wonderful. Please keep going strong. With that, Dr. Mohan, I love that smile on your face, and I'm sure you're totally in agreement with what Shiva ma'am just said. From you, I need to understand that, what your institution is actually doing towards contributing towards this youth empowerment, and specifically motivating them to work towards national prosperity.
Yeah. What we do in school is first we keep in mind these 5 things in the kids. That is a hunger for wisdom, earn your respect, accept responsibility, because that is foremost thing that today's youth, they have to take in mind. Respond with courage. So whatever comes in your way, respond it with courage. Thinks others first. So when these 5 things are very strong in every child, I'm very sure children in school, that's the place where we grind them to face the world in a better way. And then we always send children for this youth model United Nations conference and encourage them to become independent thinkers. And they have to solve the different issues in the youth parliament. They come together to research, discuss, debate, and resolve global issues there, which is the foremost thing that majority students participate in that. We give them opportunities to experience learning beyond classrooms and inculcate a sense of an identity where what is the situation around. So we involve the children in Swachh Bharat activity, where they adopt a ward and where they go door to door and explain to the people how you are responsible to keep your surrounding clean. And then we allow them to explore diverse paradigms to redefine themselves, because when we have inside our school itself a differently able unit where you have children from hearing impairment, visual impairment, and mentally retarded children, where these children during their lunch break they go help them, serve them, and these children they travel along with these children in the school bus. So where we say them, don't see them in a different way. And again, we prepare them to nurture nature and become socially responsible, where we take them to different villages where they teach them language, games, art, everything. And above all, we see that each one, they practice oneness, universal brotherhood, and respect every religious belief. Because whenever we are celebrating inside the school, all the celebrations, they know that God is one, and we should not see different things in a different way. And we invest a culture of trust in our young minds. And above all, what we do is we live by the change that we expect to see in our youth. Because what we are expecting, as in how Shrupti told, like we as parents, we have to be a change in such a way. As a school management and the teachers, we live the way how we have to. So through us, they learn everything, and this is what we mold them when they leave the school. So ultimately, we live by the change, and that we expect to see in our youth by contributing our share of giving to the national growth and prosperity.
Thank you, thank you. So true. These small little measures that you are taking is surely going to make all the change. And with that, let me bring in Mr. Rajiv Gupta. Sir, we have quite a few questions for you. And this one comes in from Ramashray, and he wants to understand, that at what do you think the youth of today is angry with the world? What is that one thing that really brings out a lot of anger into the youth of today across the world?
A very beautiful question, and I would just sum up my story, and that would answer the question of so many of the participants here. I am a 52-year-old young or old man, I don't know. When I was studying in school, my main focus was to top, like any other Indian student. So I topped my All India 10th class, then I taught my All India 12th class, then I taught my BCom Honors Part 3 Pan India. After that, I did my CA and CWA. And then I began the rat race of joining some multinational company in a commerce background, And ultimately, I landed up as vice president of world's biggest company, GE, that is Jacques. Then that was in 2002. Till the time, I was very powerful, but I was not happy. I was not satisfied. I was not doing what I was inclined to do. And these years were killing me. I was shifting job from one place to another. As Miss Sukriti told, student ke baad aap college mein aate hain, then you get a job, then you get married, you become a parent, then you start looking for extra revenues and all that stuff. And in this process, you lose yourself. Because once we become a parent, an Indian parent starts living for the child. The Indian citizen stops living for himself. His or her main purpose is to live for the child, to save for the child. So that thing was killing me since so many years after my graduation. And in 2002 and 4, I started a play school, which was my father's dream. He retired as secretary of CBSE, so he wanted a school which was a global preschool with basic infrastructure and global values. Okay, fine. The school started, it became a very famous and popular school of North Delhi, then India. Again, what? After doing so many academic qualifications, in the meantime, I had done my MBA also. So what was the thing? I was looking after 2 years, 3 years, tiny tots. What was I doing? I was doing nothing. The teachers and the principal were taking care of the education system. I was just sitting in the director's room and doing nothing. Then in 2011, one person came in my life who changed my entire life. He told me, why don't you start the concept of multiple intelligence in your school? So I asked him, what is multiple intelligence is? Then he told me about Dr. Howard Gardner, and that year changed my entire life. I studied for 1 year the concept of multiple intelligences, and after 1 year, I did my doctorate in child psychology. I became a doctor in 2012, and since last 8 years, I have been counseling children from the age group of 2 years. You will be asking, how can I counsel a child of 2 years? So I counsel their parents. Basically, the parents are the one who need counseling. And then the age group went till 70 years of age. This concept of multiple intelligence showed me when I started this concept. I surveyed around 10,000 parents of very affluent families, Delhi NCR. What do you want your child to be after schooling? You will not believe, Sangeeta, 95% of the parents had two plans. First plan was, I want my child to become what I am.
Right.
And the second plan was, I want my child to become what I could not become. जैसे सुकृति ने बोला था ना कि पेरेंट्स जो कर रहे हैं वही, अब जो आजकल हम बात कर रहे हैं नेपोटिज्म की, वो कोई नई बात नहीं है. ये तो इट्स अ जनरेशन, इट्स अ हिस्ट्री. राजाओं महाराजाओं के बच्चे भी शहंशाह और राजकुमारियां बनते, तो इसमें कोई नई बात नहीं है. नेपोटिज्म को हम गलत वे में लेके जा रहे हैं, जैसे हम पॉलिटिक्स को गलत वे में लेके चले जाते हैं. नेपोटिज्म इज अ वेरी गुड वर्ड, हमने उसको डिग्रेड कर दिया है. तो कोई गलत बात नहीं है. एक डॉक्टर अपने बच्चे को डॉक्टर ही बनाना चाहेगा, लॉयर अपने बच्चे को लॉयर बनाना चाहेगा, तो नथिंग बैड अबाउट इट. द थिंग वाज, इन दीज टू ऑप्शंस वेयर वाज द चाइल्ड? चाइल्ड तो कहीं पे भी नहीं है. या तो मैं जो कर रहा हूँ वो करना चाहूंगा, या मैं जो नहीं कर पाया मैं वो कराना चाहता हूँ अपने बच्चों को. तो बच्चा कहाँ पे है? वेयर इज द चाइल्ड? एंड एज एन एजुकेशनिस्ट, व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ मी गोइंग टू द स्कूल? मेरे स्कूल में एक गार्ड भी है, वो भी अपने घर में बोल के आता है मैं स्कूल जा रहा हूँ. मैं डायरेक्टर हूँ, मेरे पास 5 डिग्रीज है, मैं भी बोलता हूँ मैं स्कूल जा रहा हूँ. और एक 5 क्लास का बच्चा भी बोलता है मैं स्कूल जा रहा हूँ. तो तीनों में डिफरेंस क्या है? My purpose of coming to school was, am I able to teach the child in the way the child wants to be taught, rather than in the way the teacher wants to teach? And this is an irony of, again, Indian education system. 90% of the children, after their school hours, rush to tuitions. Tuitions क्यों लेते हैं वो बच्चे? जब स्कूल में आप 8 घंटा 365 दिन पढ़ते हैं, उसके बाद आप सीधा ट्यूशन सेंटर पे भागते हैं, एंड योर मेन पर्पस इज टू गेट 95 to 100 मार्क्स इन CBSE. वो तो हम चीटिंग करके भी ला सकते हैं. तो मार्क्स डज नॉट मेक यू इंटेलिजेंट, नॉलेज मेक्स यू इंटेलिजेंस, एंड दैट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एजुकेशन एंड एकेडमिक्स. शिवा मैम ने बोला था एकेडमिक सब कुछ नहीं है, उषा मैम ने बोला एकेडमिक सब कुछ नहीं है. When we talk about knowledge, it does not mean English, Hindi, maths and social. It means your IQ, your creative quotient, your adversity quotient, your emotional quotient, your linguistic, logical, musical, visual, kinesthetic, naturalistic observation, and all intelligences combined. That makes you a complete human being. पर उससे सबसे important है what is your nature. अगर आपका नेचर अच्छा नहीं है या नेचर समाज के अकॉर्डिंग नहीं है, आपकी एजुकेशन एक तरफ, आपका नेचर एक तरफ. हमारी 10 उंगलियां हैं हाथ की। मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ, मैं ऑल ओवर इंडिया में जब जाता हूँ मैं बच्चों से क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ, हाउ मेनी फिंगर्स यू हैव गॉट, एंड 90% ऑफ चिल्ड्रन से 10, एंड दे लुक एट इट। क्या हम आंख बंद करके नहीं बोल सकते हमारी 10 उंगलियां हैं? पर आंसर गलत है, क्योंकि हमारी 20 फिंगर्स हैं। देन दे से ओह पैर की उंगलियां तो हम भूल गए हैं। तो हम सिंपल से क्वेश्चन का बहुत मुश्किल आंसर ढूंढने लग जाते हैं, एंड इन दैट प्रोसेस वी लूज द रियल पर्पस ऑफ एजुकेशन। इन 10 फिंगर्स के अंदर आपकी पूरी कायनात छुपी हुई है। इनकी स्कैनिंग करके वी गेट अ रिपोर्ट on the basis of which we identify your inborn talents, your inborn strengths, your inborn nature, your inborn learning style, your inborn acquiring style, your brain dominance, your career path, your reflexes. लेकिन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है, are you a good person or not? And that is defined by your nature, not by your education. You must be the most decorated public servant of the country. आपकी पर्सनैलिटी एक तरफ है और आपकी एजुकेशन एक तरफ है। तो 2011 में जब आई डिड दिस कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ मल्टीपल इंटेलिजेंस, देन आई रियलाइज्ड व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ मी लिविंग। एम आई एग्जिस्टिंग और एम आई लिविंग? आप डेली क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं आजू बाजू लोगों से कि क्या हाल चाल है, 90% ऑफ द पीपल से चल रहा है यार, कट रही है यार, तू सुनाना छोड़ना यार, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? हाउ मेनी ऑफ द पीपल विल से आई एम लिविंग माई लाइफ? तो आर वी विक्टिम्स ऑफ द सर्कमस्टांसेस? क्या मैं भगवान का भेजा हुआ फरिश्ता हूं जिसकी सारी तकदीर मेरी 10 उंगलियों में है, या मैं परिस्थितियों का गुलाम बन के रह गया हूं? मैं करना तो ये चाहता था पर कर नहीं पाया, मम्मी ने करने नहीं दिया, पापा ने करने नहीं दिया, यार मैं क्या करूं, मेरे को शॉप पे बैठना पड़ गया। तो हम इस तरह से अपनी जिंदगी को काट रहे हैं या जी रहे हैं। तो मल्टीपल इंटेलिजेंस हमने इंट्रोड्यूस किया अपने स्कूल में। वी आर इंडियाज फर्स्ट मल्टीपल इंटेलिजेंस बेस्ड प्री स्कूल, and that is why I got the award from the Vice President of India also, and I am promoting this concept in last 10 years कि हर बच्चे के अंदर टैलेंट है, उसको पहले आइडेंटिफाई करना जरूरी है, उसके बाद उसको नर्चर करना जरूरी है, और उसके बाद उसको एनहेंस करना जरूरी है, एंड एवरीवन कैन डू व्हाटएवर दे वांट टू डू। द ओनली थिंग इज दे शुड नो दैट दे कैन डू इट। और हम लोग पूरी जिंदगी अपनी कंपेयर करने में निकाल देते हैं। वी स्टार्ट कंपेयरिंग आवरसेल्व्स विद अदर्स। Even parents start their compare their siblings with each other. अगर भगवान को हमें किसी और के थ्रू ही बनाना होता तो फिर इतने सारे लोगों की फिंगरप्रिंट्स अलग क्यों होती? वर्ल्ड पॉपुलेशन इज अराउंड 800 करोड़, सबकी फिंगर्स अलग क्यों हैं? तो कोई ना कोई लॉजिक तो होगा उसके पीछे। तो भगवान ने बोला है आपको सबको एक ही रूल दिया गया है, सबको 24 घंटे दिए हैं एक दिन के अंदर, चाहे वो प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ अमेरिका हो या एक रिक्शा वाला हो, सबको भगवान ने 24 घंटे दिए हैं, और सबको पैदा होना है और सबको मरना है। तो जब रूल सबके लिए सेम है, इन 10 फिंगर्स के अंदर हम पेपर में ऑबिचुअरी पढ़ते हैं, आई वॉज बॉर्न इन दिस ईयर एंड आई डाइड इन दिस ईयर, बीच में छोटा सा डैश होता है, वो डैश ही तो जिंदगी है हमारी, और उस डैश को हम इंपॉर्टेंस ही नहीं देते हैं। तो स्टार्ट लिविंग योर लाइफ, नो योर आइडेंटिटी, नो योर टैलेंट, नो योर स्ट्रेंथ, नो योर वीकनेसेस, वर्क अपॉन दैट, एंड लर्निंग स्टाइल जैसे हमें पता चल जाता है कि हमें लर्न कैसे करना है। वी आर अगेन लर्निंग फॉर मार्क्स, वी आर नॉट लर्निंग फॉर नॉलेज। तो जिस दिन मुझे पता चल गया कि मेरी लर्निंग स्टाइल क्या है, उस दिन आई कैन गेट 100 out of 100 इन एनीथिंग बट एवर आई एम टॉट। So self-realization is only when you understand what is your intelligence and you can work upon it and become a superstar of your life. And every child can become a superstar. We don't have to compare. अब बड़े-बड़े टीवी में एड्स आते हैं, मतलब I don't mind taking names. मिस्टर सचिन तेंदुलकर ने बोला था कि 1000 सचिन बन जाने चाहिए। अरे क्यों बनना चाहिए 1000 सचिन? सचिन तेंदुलकर एक तो एक ही रहना चाहिए ना। हर माँ बाप के बच्चे को अपने बच्चे के अंदर उनकी कैपेबिलिटी और टैलेंट को देख के उसको वही बनाना चाहिए। अगर मैं अपने बच्चे को किसी और की तरह बनाना चाहता हूं तो देन आई फेल्ड एज अ पेरेंट एंड एज अ चाइल्ड एंड एज ह्यूमन बीइंग। मैं अगर राजीव गुप्ता हूं, मेरा बेटा है, तो उसको जो मर्जी बनना बने। Why should we compare anyone?
There is something very special about every child or every human being, and I completely agree with that. Yes.
क्योंकि हर इंसान अपने अंदर सब चीज कॉमन लेकर आया है, पर फिर भी यूनिक है।
Still.
जो अब child is growing in the womb, those 9 months, Between 3 months to 6 months is the time when the intelligences and brain development are formed and they are interconnected. So this concept of linking your fingerprints with the brain got a Nobel Prize in 1983. Before that, we used to say we are intelligent and we are not intelligent. In 83, the concept came of multiple intelligence. You're not intelligent, you are multiple intelligent. So you can be excellent in so many areas. We are cribbing on what we have not got. We don't appreciate what we have got. So we should focus on the positivities of the life कि हमें मिला क्या है, rather than कि हमें क्या नहीं मिला है. So self-realization is the ultimate, जिसको मोदी जी बोलते हैं आत्मनिर्भर. मैं कहता हूं कि सेल्फ रिलायंट, कि आपके अंदर पूरा ब्रह्मांड है, आप ही राम है और आप ही रावण है. You should know how to use your mind.
Thank you so much, Captain Rajiv. That was amazing, and I guess this has been quite an eye opener for me. I wasn't really much aware on the multiple intelligence theory, and now you said that your school happens to be the first to get started on that, and I guess this is somewhere where also I'd bring in Mr. Bhupendra, as he rightly said, that it is very important that from the very tender age, could it be 4, 5, and you are there, kind of coaching a 2-year-old child right there, that it's very important that you kind of program or kind of help them to build their intelligence to where it lies.
Your question was, why is the today's youth angry?
About what is the youth angry?
Yes, the today's youth is angry because there is no direction. Everything has been imposed. In today's scenario, an eminent lawyer cannot question the judgment of the Supreme Court. So if we are living in democracy, are we not supposed to ask or raise questions? इंडिया में फॉलोवर्स बहुत हैं, लीडर्स नहीं हैं. जो क्वेश्चन पूछेगा वही लीडर बनेगा, बाकी तो फॉलोवर्स तो बहुत हैं. तो यूथ को क्वेश्चन पूछने के लिए कल्टीवेट करना चाहिए, मोटिवेट करना चाहिए. School education in India should be totally scrapped. They should come to school for learning, which they cannot learn through books. They should come to learn through new things. बुक में तो रखा है, नोटिफिकेशन से कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. जो गूगल पे है वो स्कूल में अगर पढ़ा भी दिया मैडम ने, तो देयर इज नो medal and trophy to be given. Teach them which they don't know. That is why the youth is angry, because there is no one to listen to them at the state level, at the center level. Neither social media, nor news, nor education. Everyone is going after marks. Our heads of the states and heads of the country and various education ministers and various ministers, they should focus on single agenda. What is the purpose of their getting up every day?
Yeah, but if you don't make kids competitive, do you think they will progress in life? The whole system of making them reach a certain yardstick of marks or do better than another kid, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because मैं उसको competition नहीं दूंगी, तो why will he want to excel?
Why should we compete one child with another?
No, but you have to give them some yardstick of excellence, ना?
Yes.
कि मुझे ये yardstick तक पहुंचना है to be competitive in a world stage. How can I just tell them you learn from Google and do your own thing?
The yardstick should be measured for the child. आज आपने इतना लर्न किया है, कल आपको इससे ज्यादा लर्न करना है, rather than आपको उसकी तरह लर्न करना है.
नहीं, पर वो ज्यादा लर्न करने का दायरा कितना है, वो उनका तो डायरेक्शन हमको देनी पड़ेगी ना. We can't leave it laissez faire कि करो जो करना है, सीखो जो सीखना है. एक डायरेक्शन और एक करिकुलम हमको सेट करना ही पड़ेगा ना.
करिकुलम मैम, करिकुलम सेट हमें करना चाहिए बच्चे के हिसाब से. देखिए, मैं अगेन फिनलैंड मॉडल पे आता हूँ. फिनलैंड पे देयर इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इंडिविजुअलाइज्ड लर्निंग प्रोग्राम.
Yes,
the child goes to the school and learns what he wants to learn, rather than what he is to be taught.
Say something.
That is why there is a huge gap between learning and teaching in India. मेरे को सिर्फ स्कूल में वो नहीं लर्न करना 8 घंटे. अगर मुझे लर्न स्कूल में करना अच्छा लगता, तो मैं ट्यूशन क्यों करता फिर?
नहीं, पर लेकिन एक बेसिस तो फाउंडेशन तो बनानी पड़ेगी ना. Need to know the right from wrong.
Shiva, can I just add in here? To
Absolutely.
me, it looks like, I think competition, like you're saying, if there's no competition, how will they succeed? But I do believe that we must make excellence, or, you compete with yourself rather than with somebody else. See, because what is within you in the given circumstance is within your control. You can always make a child, come up to the next level for what they are capable of. But, you know, and I think that's a good way of looking at it, because you compete with yourself all the time. You are not looking at somebody else and getting depressed about it, but you are bettering your own performance. And I think that's the key to happiness. There's no jealousy involved. There's no, anger involved here, but just that, push from the teachers, from the parents, encouraging the child to do what is their best potential. And I think that
certain age up to which I'll have to structure them in one direction, and then they will find their direction. Na?
Yes.
Like he was telling us about some 5-year-old prodigy. That's like 1% in a billion ka population. So, that 5-year-old doesn't know what to learn and which direction to go to. At least until a certain age, I'll have to give them some structure.
Structure in terms of discipline, in terms of kind of enjoying what they're learning, taking pride in their achievements, however small it is, whether it's a drawing or whether they've been able to do a math problem, or just stand in front of a mirror and speak, even without an audience. You're encouraging a holistic personality by doing that. So I think that's the best way to actually nurture it for a child. You're so right. As a parent, you must give them direction. So when it comes to discipline, when it comes to, not being lethargic, into, valuing everything that the child does, and making excellence a habit, I think will keep them, in this race. They'll be out of the mad rat race, because they will be running their own race. And these are the people who will succeed. And, like in today's world, we were talking of all the various, the IQs and the EQs and the SQs as well. So, it's not just the intelligent quotient, but it's also the emotional quotient. It's also the spiritual quotient. And in today's pandemic, we know that adversity quotient also. Or when you are, and as an entrepreneur, you don't make it, you should have that sustenance to say, it's okay, I tried, but, I'm going to take this to the next level and not give up. I think that's the key. And also doing things that make you happy. Is it only like it's all about me, or is it also, doing something for somebody else? And am I doing what I'm doing? Otherwise, like Sir was saying, Mr. Rajiv, that, you could be a topper, and then you just get a nice job, and then, your relationships, there's no work-life home balance. And so, you lose out on that, and you make a lot of money, and then Shiva, they don't even have the health to enjoy that. Then what is the meaning of that life towards which we're making our children run? So we need people like you to tell them that, health is important. When we say health, and, when we talk about yoga in our country, it's not just about asanas, but it's about, calming yourself. It's about your pranayam. It's about being able to meditate. And when you're able to do all this and you become a balanced person, no matter what challenge life throws you, these are life's lessons, and you will be able to tide over them. Whether it's in relationships, whether it's in business, whether it is, in your profession, you will find a way out for sure. So that's the guidance we need to give, is to motivate the kid, tell them they can do it. And, and also like somebody was asking you, how come you're so happy? And I liked, what you answered. So, I always say it could have been worse. So, even when there's an accident and the whole new car is all damaged, and the man of the house is probably looking at, oh gosh, this car is gone, but you say, at least you're alive, right? So I think that's what we need to do. Look at the positive in any situation. And, I think that's what life is all about.
So we're talking about youth empowerment. Let's empower the youth.
I'm sorry, I'll have to interrupt the conversation here. And I'd like to bring in Pallavi into the conversation. And yes, we just have a couple of more minutes before we conclude our webinar here. So Pallavi, from you.
But we have so much more to say.
Yes, I can definitely come back to you.
We're not done. Youth are not powered yet.
Shiva, I can understand, that whole parent has just come out.
And at 6 o'clock, you guys can join me on my Insta, because I'm with a career counselor talking to them about what next. What next?
So we actually have more questions right here. I don't want to be like the no. I don't want to be doing all the talking.
The only thing we should know, the only thing we should all wonder is, who am I?
Rajiv ji, could I have you to please use your mic? Thank you. So, Pallavi, from you, I need to understand that, actually, government as well as the non-government sectors, how can they really work for youth empowerment? And what are the steps that you take as a business person?
Yeah, like today's discussion, like all of us, like majorly focused on talking about the education sector. Yes, education sector is one place where the youth can be addressed at a very individual level, taking care of their physical, emotional, and the mental status. So you strike a balance at that stage, and then with the national education policy, we also see that the government has emphasized on the holistic development, like Ms. Usha had mentioned. Holistic development, which earlier was just restricted to certain premier students of the premier institutions, but that's not the case. The government is wanting to look at it across the country. Yeah? And there's another important emphasis which the government has brought about. It talks about the integrating the Indian culture and ethos. So this is with this particular, this is going to give a beautiful framework for all the, be it the government or the non-governmental sectors, to set a nice, give them a very good exposure, like I would say an experiential learning to the youth across the nation. And for this, if you majorly look at sectors like the agriculture sector, the forest sector, the forest department, the Department of the Minerals and the Natural Resources, I think these major departments play a very key role. I suggest that they have a dedicated wing for youth engagement, wherein they're going to allow the youth to you have a first-hand experience of the realities. This is going to empower them, right? So it's not just the government; all the stakeholders across the various sectors should support the government in this movement of empowering the youth.
So, Bhupendra, the next question is for you. Somebody here wanting to ask you that, our government, the governments of any nation or India, for a matter of fact, encourage or support or give scholarship to, genius kids of the ones that you just mentioned. Is there any different kind of, approach towards such kind of kids, and what should actually be done when it comes to the government on recognizing and identifying such talents at such early age?
To be very honest, I'm not really sure about that, whether there is any kind of scholarship or not. However, it's our individual duties and responsibilities to definitely encourage these kind of kids, which up to some extent now there are a lot of platforms due to internet and social media. They are definitely encouraged. Otherwise, around 10 years, 20 years ago, those talents were living in the villages or maybe in the smaller cities, and they were never getting the chance. So I think the world is opening up to receive these kind of talents. But yes, I think the negative news spreads very fast. But the positive news spreads a little slow, and we all need to determine and do something, or maybe I don't know what we can do in our own capacity, but we need to really give more boost to this positive news. Now, what kind of news is coming into our TV channel and social media and all those kind of things? All right, this particular actor has got COVID, and now the whole nation, 20 days showing that particular news. Nothing wrong in that, but then these kind of talents, that news, I think more than the government, if the media can encourage and come forward to these kids, which occasionally they might be doing, but then it's not happening on a regular basis. I really appreciate countries like Japan, Singapore, and Dubai or all. I mean, when I lifted the newspaper, I didn't see even a single negative news, or maybe very less percentage of negative news was there, maybe 1% or 2%. I think if that can reduce, a lot of things can change in this country. I mean, we are the dynamites, we are the powerhouses, we are those guided missiles which can really do whatever we want to do. But then, as Dr. Rajiv said, or he said that we are directionless. Okay, the direction to the Indian youth is given like, okay, go to the job, get good grades, maybe achieve this. So government of India should definitely come forward, but right now I think our government is too busy protecting their chairs in different constituencies. So the onus lies on us, onus lies on media, onus lies on individuals like us. If we can find out the ways, I know that it's a nation of around 137 crore people, controlling all the things is a bit difficult, but I think it is not that difficult, because this country is the country wherein one single person has brought in a huge change, and the masses are looking towards them. May it be Chhatrapati Maharaj Shivaji, or may it be Swami Vivekanand. One single individual has brought so many change. I think this nation needs 300 most powerful people like them who can change the world. And our responsibility is that individually we become so strong and so powerful, understanding that the only thing which we can transform for people is their mind. If we change the mindset, I think everything else is going to fall in place. So I highly encourage all the schools, school principals, and all the other educational institutes that yes, there are subject knowledge and teachings, but 30% of the curriculum should be only on building the mindset of an student. I want to give you an example. Like, a lot of people come, I'm a motivational speaker and a business coach, and because of that, a lot of young kids get connected to me, and they want to build business, and they want to, like, they're directionless till the age of, let's say, 20, 22, 23, 24, and they come, they get motivated, they get inspired. Some of them, like, only very, very less percentage, and that percentage is around, let's say, 3% to 4% people who set the goals, who are able to bring that discipline in their lifestyle. They're able to reach to the big places in less time. In just 3 to 4 years, everything can change. So I think Sukriti also talked about having the people skill. Along with that, public speaking skill. Along with that, I think selling skill is one of the most important things. Selling doesn't mean that you need to speak and sell, but it's all about, like, you have a talent, you need to market that talent. You need to give the shout out to yourself, because if you don't praise yourself, and if you do not take your talent to the world will never get to know that you have that talent, right? Because many people are submissive, introverts, and they are told, hey, don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about it. It is arrogant to talk about yourself. It is arrogant to really take your talent to the next level. I think the child himself has to come on, stand up and shout, make a social media page, and every single day take the responsibility to showcase his talent. And I'm sure though too many people are doing it, but then it's giving the hope. Too many opportunities are also getting created. Earlier there were no opportunities. So I think everyone, first, you need to take the responsibility of your own product, because you are the product. The second, the society and the schools and colleges need to really change the mindset of the people. Mindset is the most important thing, and today more entrepreneurs are required in this country. I think we are not living in the era where we should encourage our kids to just do the jobs. People come to me and say, hey, Bhupendra, but everybody cannot become an entrepreneur. I say, give me any kid of any caliber, and in less than 3 years, I can turn him into a very high thriving entrepreneur. Because this has happened with me, and I was a very young, shy boy. I never knew how to speak to people and never to face. But then one person met me, and then he transformed me. Mr. Manish Gupta met me and gave me that coaching, which was like thriving. And then I met another coach, and then another coach, and then another coach, and I got to realize that I'm a dynamite. I'm a powerful person, and today I have coached and trained and addressed through my webinars more than 10 lakh people. I mean, that's something which I never ever could imagine. But today, I think and not only me, I have trained or passed on that legacy which I received from my teachers to at least 10 lakh people, and out of them, at least 200 of them who are in my touch. They are very, very successful, and there are a lot of them. So I think it all depends upon how the society and I absolutely strongly recommend that a person, if he wants to play the cricket in the gully, he doesn't need a mentor. But if he wants to go to the international level, he needs a mentor. So every single field, if the child is good at chess, he has to have a mentor so that he can reach to the top. I think that kind of a structure Shiba ma'am was talking about, and if that structure the kind gets, he has his, and Usha ma'am was also supporting that one person gets a talent, and that talent, if nurtured with the help of a mentor or a coach or a guide, the kid is a masterpiece, and he can reach to the world and inspire, influence, and make the future India very, very strong. I think
proper framework is very, very important.
Yeah. So, Sangeeta, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. It was wonderful being here with you guys today, but I am going to say a quick bye-bye because I have another live on education and counseling on my Insta now. So see you all there.
Thank you.
It was nice being here. It was lovely meeting you all.
We'll catch you live.
Thank you.
Usha ma'am, there is a question for you. Another 5 minutes before we close the webinar. And there's Mrudula Mohan, and she's wanting to ask that what point should children and youth have access to options adult deem as unhealthy and disempowering?
Pardon, can you just repeat it? It was my volume.
Children or youth have access to options deemed as adult as unhealthy and disempowering.
Okay, so I think, you know, today, especially with the kind of information that's available to every kid, especially online, and as parents, all of us are concerned, as teachers, we're all concerned. I think, you know, if you're trying to say that, you know, they're kind of getting exposed to things that they shouldn't and too early, I think first is to kind of let them know how they have to become a responsible digital citizen. We cannot avoid this, but we have to only train them and then tell them, you know, what they should do, what they should not do, and take it from there. So, you know, little things that we do is in schools is that, of course, we can monitor, we can put some, you know, firewalls around whatever they can see or cannot see on the internet. But if it is at home, you know, then I think it's always safer to place things, especially your computer, laptop, in a common area where the parents are also, you know, kind of passing by, so they know what it is and they can also check, you know, what the kids are going through. But, you know, ideally, if you ask me, I would say that no amount of this check is going to work with the kids. We have to accept that this is it. So that's why I keep saying responsible, you know, the responsibility is with them. And they need to, you know, kind of understand that. So in schools, usually what we do is simulation is something that really works. For example, that we all know that this is what kids are doing at a particular age. It could be drugs, it could be, you know, smoking, wanting to, you know, kind of drink, or, you know, with the girlfriends, relationships, or it could be something to do with, you know, what's on the net. So, you know, when you have a simulated activity and you make them into two groups and let them decide what they ought to do or what they ought not to do and debate it out, then that's kind of a learning, you know, for them. And also, you know, when there is pressure from your peer group and you're getting pushed into something, how do you actually stand up and say no? You get them to practice it in a school simulated environment, and that's called Adolescent Education Program. It really works, you know, and then they come up with a lot of things and they say, my friend had this question, ma'am. So it's actually what they want to know, but they will say, one of my friends has this question. They will come back. So question boxes where they don't need to write their names, and adults being there, that intervention to help them out, I think actually helps them. So you can now, the kind of, you know, information that's there, I think none of us can do anything about it other than raise, you know, responsible digital citizens.
How simply you put that up, ma'am. Thank you. And so Kriti, yes, my last and final question to you. A lot of questions have been pouring for you, and one of them is that, you know, your message to the young entrepreneurs, because yes, you did make sure that you realize your dream and you did chase your dream and you kind of got into what you wanted to do, beauty. So yes, your message for all the young entrepreneurs who want to chase out their dreams.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is always about solving a problem, right? So I think each and every child, every human being has an entrepreneur in himself, because we see in our day-to-day lives a lot of problems, and we always think, yeah, we could have done this could have been made in this manner, right? So entrepreneurship is first thing, you need to solve a problem. Second thing is never give up, because entrepreneurship, yes, we have an idea, but how do we execute it? How do we take it to completion? How do we make it successful? How do we, you know, like in the competitive world, how do we survive? So never give up, because I'm telling you, there will be much more failures in the line to reach that final goal. So that is the major thing, to never give up. And finally, keep learning, because like I said, that self-realization point where I need to realize what I lack in, and I need to keep learning, reading, and having a mentor. So entrepreneurship, having a mentor is very, very important. Like Mr. Bhupendra also said here, that, you know, having a mentor reduces your trying time by almost by half, I would say, because otherwise you keep having a lot of iterations in learning. So have a mentor, never give up, and keep going. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. So big thank you to all our speakers. And I'm going to give you, say, about 25 to 30 seconds just to conclude, and your message to everybody, all our viewers out there. Let me begin by Dr. Mohan, with Dr. Mohan, I mean. Ma'am, could you unmute yourself, please?
I'll always say that the elders must be the role models. Because at home, the parents have to be the role models. And when they come to school, the teachers and the principal and the management must be the role model. Only through us they learn. As in how Sheba and everybody they told, like only by saying, they will never follow. So if I want my kid to keep himself or herself fit, if I am practicing only by seeing that, they will just go ahead and do it. So I always say the elders keep pushing them with a positive energy, never talk in front of them negatives. Because as elders, when we talk more of negatives, they take in that negative, and at one point when we want them to achieve, they push the same negative to us. So instead, let the elders be more positively charged, where they are transforming the youth to get them more positively charged.
Thank you. Thank you. So keep the positivity going. Make sure that you practice before you start preaching. Right. Well, Dr. Rajiv, 30 seconds, your message.
My only message to everyone is, you can do whatever you want to do. The only thing is you should know it. And to know it, you should learn from everyone around you, either elder or junior or senior or whatever. Every person is a bundle of talent. You should be welcoming each and every one around you with open arms, and focus on what you have got and not on what you have not got. Because everyone is capable of doing great wonders if they compete only with one person, and that is you yourself.
Thank you. So you yourself should be your biggest, your milestone, or what you say yourself, the biggest example, your own hero after 5 years, and 5 years down the line. Okay, perfect. Well, Pallavi, for you, what would be the...
I would like to tell the youth to not get carried away with the fantasies of the technologies. Stay focused, empower and enhance yourselves. And I also wish that every stakeholder of this nation plans and supports for the growth of the youth for a far-sighted and a prosperous nation.
Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you. That was really wonderful. And Bhupendra, Mr. Bhupendra Singh Rathod, yes, your message to everybody out there.
Yeah, my message is, if you support the world selflessly, the whole universe will support you endlessly. So find a problem in the world, solve it, and solve it with a mindset of giving back to the society. And I'm sure the world will give you back whatever you want in your life. Thank you.
Wow, perfect. Usha ma'am.
Well, I have immense faith that the youth of our country are not useless. It's just that they are used less. So let's give them that direction. Let's be there to inspire them. Let's motivate them and let them believe in themselves that they can make an impact, with the people around them, then in the larger community, in their state, and finally to the country and to the world. And when there is that positive thought that you're going to release into the universe will conspire to make that become an actuality. So to every youngster who's watching this program, believe in yourself. You will be a success one day.
Thank you. Yes, Sukriti, right there. I have to end it with you.
Yes, I think most of the things are covered, but I would say I'm a big champion for women empowerment, and we can see a lot of women out here. So I would say that go follow your dreams. Don't just be within the four walls, and always follow your passion. That is very important, and take care of your health. That's one thing I think we need to cover. That is this Corona has taught us that more than anything else in this world, health is most important. So to all the youth, please be fit, both mentally and physically, and you can win the world. That's it.
Thank you. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, our dear viewers, I'm only hoping that you've enjoyed this heart-to-heart conversation. Absolutely candid that it was. And yes, all of us should surely know that there is a shape in the world right in the shape of you. Make sure that you are there to fit in your way, and the universe is going to conspire and guide you through that. Thank you to all our panelists who've joined us here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your thoughts and sharing your experiences and enriching our Web Talk series for us. It was wonderful to have you here with us. And
special thanks to you, Sangeeta. I mean, it was really, really lovely. Such a lovely smile and such lovely energy you gave us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you all. It's been a pleasure.
Moderator Sangeeta Singh signing off. Please have a lovely day.